Ha! I muted. Thanks. Good thing. Thanks, Jesse, for that text message. Okay. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going live. Obviously, that we're starting things out a little rough already, but want to make sure we're talking kind of real things. This is my basement I'm working from today, just like probably a lot of you. I want to answer any questions that you might have, so if there's something, put it in the chat. I will do my best to get to it. First things first, a couple people have been asking about getting their copies or licenses. They have it of Camtasia Snagit. Go to Techsmith.com, go to product, and you'll find the downloads. So that way you should be good. You can get it right from there. And yep, we're aware of no sound for a second there. Sorry about that again. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to start very basic. So if you're someone that's really experienced with making videos, making screencasts, and those words make sense to you, this is probably not the time you want to spend, because there's probably other resources we can point you to help you make you better than you are today. But what we want to talk about today is for people who have been thrown into these situations, whether you're an educator or whether your company decided, hey, everyone's working remote, and you're finding that it's stressful, you're finding that you're not be able to communicate as well as you would like to. I want to walk you through some ideas that I've got about how to do this. I've been doing screen capture, screen videos, and videos for quite a while now, and there's a power there outside of just making a video for like a lesson, or there's ways that I think we can start thinking about video as a supplement to us communicating, working with each other, even though you may be completely distanced. Like I live out in the country, I'm in Michigan, in the United States, and really there's nobody around. And the only communication I get is I get my online meetings, which I can do some, and those work pretty well, but that's not something I can do all the time, because now everybody's in the online meetings and it's happening all the time. They might be busy, and sometimes you just want to show something. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, and this is super, super basic, is a screen recording. If you're not familiar with screen recording, it literally is a way that you can record anything that is on your screen. So you don't need a camera. You don't need a microphone's helpful. Microphone's always good, but your laptop might have one built in. That might be good enough. But a screen recording, so if let's say you've got an application or anything you want to show on your screen, you can do that. So for instance, let's see if we can do this here. We're going to go switch things up. So right now, I've got Snagit here, and I'm just going to hit recording. And it doesn't look like you can see my recording window, so let me make a quick preference change here, just so you can see. I'm just going to change this so I get this one tab so you can see it. So I'm going to hit record. So I got this crosshairs. I don't know if hopefully you can see that. And I can select an area, and anything that's inside of that area, I will be able to record. So let me start recording here, and got my microphone on. So I don't know how OBS is going to show this, but you can see anything in there. So I've got this PowerPoint presentation. If I wanted to, because I'm streaming, I don't have it's not streaming everything on my screen. It's kind of weird. But anything I do in here, it's going to capture. This is the idea of screen recording. So it could be PowerPoint, it could be an application that is on your desktop, it could be an email, it could be literally anything that you've got going on. And with something like Snagit or any other screen capture video tool that you have access to, here it goes. And I could play this back, and I don't think it will capture the playback too well. You won't hear anything. But you can see that it's, as we'll get some changes here in just a second, it should switch from this to, you can see those changes. So for anyone out there, especially teachers, you just want to make something quick and easy. This is one of the fastest, easiest ways to do it. Now, are there things you can do to make this look better and polish it up and edit it? Yes. But let's not even worry about that right now, because the thing is, we have opportunities to get information out there. I love this concept because, one, I can convey information in an asynchronous or not a real-time manner. That way people can see it whenever they're available to see it. So I don't have to be, I love Zoom, I love all the tools that keep me connected, but I don't have to be there right that moment. So if I send it to somebody and they're off in another meeting, they can come back and then it's ready for them to watch and view and get that information. So again, anything you want to capture, this is, and we'll talk about different things that you could use screen recording for. But the other thing I'll mention is if you have a mobile device, you have a very powerful camera that you can set up and use to make great videos. Screen capture is what we lean towards as Techsmith because screen capture is, the thing that we make a tool to do that. And if you came in a little bit later, I will just, again, re-emphasize a couple things. One, Techsmith has an offer for those who are transitioning to remote work during this time, whether you're a teacher, educator, or you're working a business, a nonprofit, healthcare, kind of a wide open spectrum. You can find that we have a free offer of Snagit, which I just showed and got on the screen right there, and what's called video review, which I can talk about later, but those are free for 90 days until June 30th. So feel free to go download those. You can, if you go to techsmith.com, you can search offer or, search for the word COVID. You'll be able to find that offer, and then there's some information you can fill out, and then you can get that 90-day offer for Snagit and video review. So anyone can really make these screen recordings. So that's just one thing. Screen recordings, I just want to lay that out. Like we saw a video recently as an educator, I think it was a principal of school, and he took his camera and he did this. He pointed at his screen to make a video of his screen. That worked. It got the information out there. However, you can get much higher clarity, quality with a screen capture tool. That way you're going to get all the kind of richness, and you can still record your voice. It's going to look really good. You can switch to a camera view if you wanted to, so you can show yourself, which I think in these times is very appropriate. So, okay, that's just one thing, just basic kind of 101 screen recording. What is it? I want to go through a couple other things that I think are valuable for you guys to think about as you're doing this, and thinking about what information you can share. The first one is we know that there's still need for training. Maybe it's you're teaching people how to get online. Maybe you're teaching your students or parents how to do Google Classroom or whatever it is that you now have introduced as a technology to help people do their jobs remotely or work from home or whatever they might be doing. That's a great video. You can turn that into a video. And here's the thing. I've noticed this, that when you roll out new technology, if I go to a training, I sit through it and then I forget because maybe I didn't do it right away, or maybe there was nuances that I didn't understand because I hadn't used the technology at that point. But what I recommend is that you make a video, and not only is it good for that first kind of initial instance of, hey, this is what it is and how you use it. The next best thing is that you can put it on an FAQ page. So when they inevitably have questions, like, well, I was using Microsoft Teams and, boy, I don't remember how to start a group chat. Well, maybe that was covered in your training, and you can make it, that's already in the video. You could point them to that specific point in time, or you could even edit the video into multiple chunks, so small little pieces that you could then say, like, here's a little piece that answers this question, here's the piece that answers this question. You're going to make it easier for your audience, whether it's your students, whether it's your, coworkers, whether it's, your customers, whoever you're trying to get this information to, so that they can better self-serve. Because we're all going to be taxed in ways that we don't really understand in terms of our time. We might not be always available, but this way, if I like the education example, a student, they're sleeping in, they're teenagers, they're staying up late or something like that, and they're ready to work at 9 or 10 or 11 p.m., and you're already in bed. The good news is they can still get the answers to a lot of questions. So think about this idea of system training. You can chunk it up. It's a really great thing, I think, to just kind of wrap your head around and do. The next one I want to talk about is really starting to think about a little bit more utilitarian even, is like a job aid or just quick reminders. So many years ago, one of our chief financial officer at Techsmith, he had some reports that he had to run. I think it was like quarterly, so it wasn't very often. And it was something that he did just infrequent enough that he didn't really remember the process. It was, it took some work to look up, how do you fill it out? What information do they need? Video can be a really great way for yourself or for others to make a reminder video. Just, hey, this is the steps you need to do when you do X. Like, I know I have a report that I run, I don't know, it's every couple weeks or so. And if I ever forgot how to do it, because I just hadn't done it in a while, it'd be really nice to have myself tell me, here's the steps you're going to take. And again, that could be a simple screen recording. Maybe it's as simple as making yourself a selfie video, whatever it might be, so that way you can remember. And you can just save that to your hard drive. Make sure you can find it later. Maybe you've got a process file or something like that. And if it's something you want others to do, go ahead and do it. Send it to them. Give it to them so that you can literally empower them. And it's like, I love video because it's like looking over the shoulder, right? Like you can literally see over my shoulder what I'm doing and hear my voice. You can know that, like, if you know that I'm expert in something or knowledgeable in something, you'll be able to understand, like, oh yeah, that's right. Matt told me to do X, Y, and Z. So one thing I will say, I am trying to keep my eye on the chat. So if you do have questions, make sure you put your questions out there, guys. I want to make sure we're making this time as valuable for you as possible. So if there's something that you want me to talk about in terms of making video, please let me know. So other things you can do. So if you find yourself working remote, things don't always work right. You're trying to connect via VPN, or you're on a system and you're normally used to getting pretty quick technical support in the office, or maybe you're working with customers. Screen recording, video recording is a great way to share any bugs or technical support issue on both sides, right? So if I have a problem and something goes wrong, and I can't figure out why something keeps crashing. Like this morning, I was trying to join a remote meeting and my browser crashed every time I went to open it. Like, open it up, crash, open up, crash. It's really hard to maybe describe to your IT department, who no longer can just come and watch it happen. And so what you could do is you could actually record your screen, capture that event happening, and then send that to them and say, like, here's the steps I'm going through. Here's what I've tried. And oh, by the way, here's a video of it actually happening. And that might give them some extra insight to know what went wrong and what they need to do to help you to make something better or to fix it, right? So on the other side of that, if you're working with technical support, I think it's, you can actually just show the answer. Like, oh, well, that's a settings problem. So, you can show them, instead of writing out this long email. Step 1, restart your computer. Step 2, do this. Step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. And that's a long email. Just like get on something like this. Like turn on your webcam, turn on screen recording. Like, hey, Sue, I saw that you're having the problem with the browser crashing this morning. Here's our 3 recommended steps. Let me just walk you through that so you can eliminate all the questions and all the doubt of what they're to do, which, I love written documentation. I think is important. It's great to have it scannable, quick and easy. But sometimes you want to see what is happening. So the really good question in the chat. 47 Lawrenceston asked this question. It's not a weird question. It's a good question. Main differences versus recording oneself using WebEx. So I'm feel free to clarify here, but the difference is, like, if you're going to record a WebEx versus a screen. So WebEx, you can probably record some screen as you're doing a presentation. The nice thing about something like Snagit or Camtasia is that you don't have to broadcast it, right? You're not doing anything broadcast. It could just be recording it, which couple benefits. One, if you have a way to edit, you can always clean up things, cut things out if you didn't like it. But 2, you don't have to get everybody together. It's just, you're just going to do it, and then you can send it out. You can post it. There's lots of places you could potentially host it. We can talk about that later, but I think that's one of the biggest differences. The other thing I'll say with tools like Snagit and Camtasia, 1, you're going to be able to edit some. Camtasia, 2, you're going to be able to enhance the recording. So if you want other information, like arrows to point things where they're supposed to go. But yes, I mean, there's some similarity, but there's, I think, a lot more flexibility doing it with like a Camtasia when you don't need a live audience or you don't want to go through the hassle of setting up a broadcast. You can just record it. You can work on it as you go and as you have time too. So it's pretty easy to jump in and make something pretty quick and easy. So another question that came in is Pedro is asking about the best way to combine Snagit and Camtasia, Fuse, and create. So, I mean, I think I'm going to hold on this question. There's an office hours afterwards, but the reason I'm going to hold is because there's a lot that we could talk about, and I want to make sure we're focusing on kind of our purpose today about making video. But the cool thing is, there's lots of things you can do. Fuse is, for those that don't know, is a mobile app. It's free. It works with Camtasia and with Snagit, and you can send video and various images from your phone directly into Camtasia over Wi-Fi. So that's one way. Just getting stuff off your phone quick and easily is a great way. Snagit, you can make any of those images, or if you have a quick video, send it to Camtasia for further editing, enhancements, animations, things like that. So lots of things that you can work together there. And I'm not sure, Pedro, if you want to clarify in the chat what you meant by create. I'm not sure if that's ours or if you got the name not quite right, but we'll figure it out. So Lauriston, your 47 Lauriston, your question, Camtasia allows enhancing but not Snagit, right? So yeah, so Snagit is really meant to be a quick, very simple screen recorder, right? It will do screenshots too, so static screen images. Let me bring Snagit back up for you guys, and I can show a little bit what the difference is here. Maybe I'll get Camtasia fired up as well. So let me go here. Let me transition this so you guys can see. Okay, so the big thing about Snagit is and from a cleanups perspective, there's not much we can do here, but we can, like, if we select these tabs, we can select an area and we can cut. So there's a little bit of editing you can do, but you're not going to be able to add a lot here. Now, one thing I think is really important, if we're talking about simple videos you can make, sometimes video is not the convenient thing to do because it's like, I already have screenshots, or I want a bunch of images and I want to put them together and make a video. So one of the things that's really cool, I'm just going to take we'll just take a couple of these images here. It doesn't really matter what they are for the example. You can't see my right click, I don't think, because it's just off the screen. Let's see if I make this. I can't make it any smaller. But basically, I'm selecting a few items here in my library tray, the system tray, or the Snagit tray, image tray. And there's an option that says combined in video and from images. And basically, it's going to bring up this other view, which, I don't know, it went full screen, which I think is just its kind of default state. So you're not going to be able to see it too well. Didn't work. It's going to be hard to see, but you can see it's got this dotted line around here. Basically what it does, and I can't seem to get it to fit. Can I make it fit? It's getting there. It's just going to record wonky if I do this, but that's okay. You can see, no, I can't bring I've got a controller basically. It's got the record controller. Basically I can take these images and start making a video. And in Snagit 2020, you can do this. And with these arrows, I can actually, when I'm recording, you'll see it count down here. And on the image, it's only with images, but I can do stuff like, I can add an arrow, I can move things around. So there's an arrow, I can highlight things. Now, I've got stuff on there that's already an object, so it's a little bit wonky, but so you can actually do this, and then you can just move to the next image and do more. So this was a LinkedIn post. Here's some more stuff about a LinkedIn post, and then we've got a resource guide out there. And again, sorry for the wonkiness and how it's fitting on the screen. It's just things I need to figure out as I go live, how to make it look better in terms of the sharing of the screen. But anyways, images to video is really cool, and it's quick, right? Like, you don't have to be a video expert or anything like that. All you have to think about is, what do I want to show, and what am I going to say about it? And then Snagit will help you put those together, nice in a linear kind of fashion. So I think it's something that's really fantastic. And again, the nice thing is you don't have to be the expert at making video. It's just literally take some images, whether you download them. Like, there's a lot of great free images sites out there. Like, I love Unsplash. You can take screenshots. You can download stuff from, if you have the Techsmith asset library, you can bring stuff in from there. So tons of things you can do to get your information, your message out to your coworkers. So that's really another great way to use this stuff. So just keep that in mind. There's lots of ways to go about doing this and thinking about it. Tons of different types of videos. Another one I want to talk about, and then again, keep your questions coming. I feel like I'm going through these rather quickly, so we might circle back around and do it again for anyone that's joining us later. But here's one of my personal favorite ways to use video kind of on the fly. And it's simple. It's, again, just using screen recording is to give feedback. I'm not a fan of harsh, hard feedback. I love getting feedback in the sense it makes me better, but I hate getting feedback because I got to interpret someone's email. I got to interpret what they're telling me. So one of the things that you can really do with video is you can take your screen recording, or again, if you don't have screen recording, you can use a camera, like a phone. And instead of sending a long email, actually give your feedback of what you're seeing on screen. So like, let's say someone's building a web page and it's a new page talking about a new offer that you're going to be putting out there. Or maybe it's for a student, right? This great application for teachers. You want to record the feedback to your student. Email's a little hard to understand sometimes because of the nuance, because maybe the tone and inflection. Maybe you say like, hey, I think this needs to really be fixed. And it's like, well, I think maybe it needs to be fixed. How do you know that without the tone of the voice? So record that feedback that you have. And I think you can find that you can do it pretty quick. People can watch it pretty quickly, especially if they know about changing the speed. A lot of video players will allow you to play your videos back at 1.25 or 1.5 speed, and it's still very understandable. But it allows them to get through all that feedback, hear the intonation of their voice, hear kind of the nuance of what you're saying to them. And oftentimes I find I can say it and describe it better than I know how to type it. So I think feedback is another great way you can think about how in these times especially, but just any time really, that you can give really good, clear information to whoever you're working with. And they can take that information, and it's because it's on demand and it's not a live broadcast like this is, and they can get that information. Now, of course, you could broadcast and they could watch it later, but I really feel like there's times and places we can do this. Now, so we got just simple screen recording for many, many things. We got lots of ideas for training people on all these new systems, like if they've never gone on Zoom before, they've never used Teams before. We have an internal system that's kind of like Slack. We had people that hadn't really been using that. So how do you help them get up to speed so they feel comfortable? And then also, again, giving them those resources that they can come back to so that when they forget, they have a place to turn rather than messaging you like, hey, how do I do this again? And that's okay. Message your friends and colleagues. That's good stuff. But sometimes you're in the middle of things and you can't answer them right away. Don't forget about reminders to yourself. So again, just reiterating some of the things we've talked about so far. Reminders being the things that you do maybe at a frequency or infrequency that you really just need to remember how to do it, but you want to be shown those steps so that way it comes right back to you. Tech support, both sides of it, giving good tech support, and then sharing out the problems that you are having with your tech support. And then the last one was that feedback methodology. So one thing, my son came down here, so there's a little bit of extra noise, but also the cats are going to start playing with the lights. So I apologize for any disruptions. Kitty's got to play with things that are bright and shiny, I guess. So Megan, great question here. She said, I'm hoping to provide a live session that's recorded for future use. Is that will be something that you'll be speaking about? So sure, we can definitely talk about that. Depending on the tool that you're going to use, there usually are something that's built in to record whatever your session is. I know Zoom has that, GoToMeeting has that, GoToWebinar. So a lot of these tools, if you're going to go live, and that's a great way to do it, go live, record it right then and there. And then if it's good enough, you can send it out. If you need something more, you can always choose to edit it. Not a necessity. I think a lot of people have been doing webinars that are recorded. You can't make the webinar, so what do? You get the recording, and hopefully you watch it later. So that's definitely something you can do. If you don't want to do the live portion of it, you just want to do it, just make a recording, you can also do that. And many screen recording tools or tools will allow you to both do camera. You can record PowerPoint directly, like in Camtasia. Snagit you could set it up. You'd have to kind of select the area first that your presentation is going to happen in, but you could record that as well. So I think lots of options there. Just what I would do with whatever tool you're using, because I don't know how all of them exactly where you go. Just look for the recording option, and I'm sure you can turn it on. And check your settings. Make sure it's going to give you something that you're happy with in terms of output. But it shouldn't be too difficult to do. I don't know if you're using like Google Hangouts or something like that, if you can record it. But like the major web kind of communication tools are definitely doing that. Pedro's asking, can I make a frame like yours with Snagit? You absolutely could make a frame like this in Snagit. What you would need to do is, one, it's going to be a little bit of work, but basically you'd find your icons, and all I did is put these here. You can't see my screen, but where I'm pointing with my mouse, but basically what I did is took those icons and I just copied and pasted them and changed the level of transparency on each one. So I lined them up, changed so it's got this kind of gradient effect. So I mean, it's work. It's not automatic, but it wasn't too hard to do either. And then I just actually, if you were to remove the camera here, what you would see is basically that repeating pattern. It continues on through the back, and I just literally laid in the streaming software I'm using, I just laid the camera view on top of it. So not too hard, but yeah, you could do that kind of thing in Snagit for sure. And so Megan is asking another question. Can you speak to YouTube Live for a moment? What do you want to know? I mean, this is we've done YouTube Live in the past before, but this is my first time in a long time going live. Definitely different going live from my basement, from my own home. So I think it's definitely an option for anyone that has content that they don't care about it being public. I mean, you can do an unlisted stream and share the link, but if you have concerns, if you're a corporation or educator and you don't want your information to get, you don't want it out possibly shared, it might not be the best option. But I think for going just kind of public with information, this is a great option. I'm using OBS to push the stream to YouTube. That gives me some of the controls here. It's free. That's why I chose it, because it's free. But basically then I just set up some different types of views. So for instance, I got this camera view. I got the pre-roll that I did before we started today. I can go to just what you'll see. I'll just transition this for a second. This is just what you'll see is just a screen view. I've got my YouTube screen up. I've got the kind of mixed camera view and the screen. So it's pretty nice to get it set up. Now, I think I read a good friend of Techsmith, Owen Video. He does a lot of streaming video. It does take a little bit of time for people to so for YouTube's got to turn on your ability, and so there might be some criteria around that. So definitely look into it. I would just Google YouTube Live for right now. That you can get it set up. I don't know what the account parameters is. On my personal account, I have like 2 subscribers, and I was able to do it, so it shouldn't be too hard. And the question about OBS, it is the letter O, as in what's a good O word? Onyx. B as in boy. S as in Sam. I need to learn my alpha Roman numeral those words. So another great question coming here, Pedro and Megan. Thank you guys for making this easy. The question is about Pedro has about the certification we can do with Techsmith. So there are 2 current certifications. Let me set a little background information for you though about how to get this. These are not just freely available. You do need to have what's called maintenance, and maintenance is something that you purchase with Camtasia and Snagit, and they are basically maintenance gives you a couple things. One, you will get the next version of the software included. So if you buy, let's say, Snagit 2020 by maintenance, you would get the next version of Snagit, assuming that's Snagit 2021 as a name. You also get priority support, technical support, and you also will get access to the certification program. There are a few other little things in there as well, but the certification programs, basically, Camtasia Certification is about 15, 16 hours of video content that will walk you from beginning to end of how to use Camtasia. It goes through, it's got project files. It is very thorough in explaining most of the features of Camtasia. It's at a good pace. So if you're new, it will feel like it's very attainable and you can follow along very well. It's a lot of content to go through though, so it's a big chore. We then at the end of it, if you either pass the entire test, which you can take in one shot if you don't want to do the videos, or you can go through courses and there's knowledge checks along the way. Pass those, you get your certificate and certification, which you can then post on LinkedIn and share with your friends and family or whatever you might want to do with it. Snagit is about, I think it's 4 or 6 hours of content. A little bit different. It's got some basic kind of information that's going to help you understand some of the really core features of Snagit, but then it gives a couple options kind of based on the jobs that you might be doing, whether you're doing documentation, technical support, things like that. And you can do all of the courses at that all the lessons at that point for each one, but you only have to do one of those kind of topical jobs to be done to get the certificate. So, but it will expose you to features you probably didn't know Snagit can do. There's a lot of things, especially, I know this is supposed to be about video, but Snagit, besides video, does a lot of great things with screen capture, annotating. The screen capture is really making that information more valuable and usable. So something to look into. So it's a great question. I'm just reading the stream here. Somebody also mentioned StreamYard for live streaming. So great option. Not familiar with them. Can't say good or bad, but that's awesome. And then Pedro, another question. Yep. So Pedro, you can create training programs in Spanish if you want. Contact me after this. I'm available on social media at PierceMR, or you can find me on LinkedIn. Well, happy to talk to you about what others are doing. So those are just a couple things about this. A couple of those things. There's lots of other things we can do. So I don't want anyone who's watching, especially if you're thinking, I don't know anything about video. I don't have the ability to move my camera around right now, but literally I have metal can lights, the kind that you buy in a hardware store, just up here. They're just do you need that? In my basement, I do, because it's really dark down here. It's kind of a dungeon. If I was upstairs, I probably wouldn't have that, but I want you to be thinking, you don't have to do a lot here to get going. I'm just using my webcam I have a MacBook Pro. But any camera here, obviously if you're going to do this all the time, you're going to, you might think about raising quality, but most people are just happy to see what you're sharing about, whether it's your PowerPoint presentation, whether it's about the application you're talking about, or whatever you're talking about, or they want to see you, right? Make it personal. If you're the expert, or you're the leader of the classroom or the event or whatever, they want to see who you are. They want to hear you. The other thing I'll say is microphones help. I'm using a Blue Yeti. It's about $100 if you can find it, give or take, depending on sales. But what I'd recommend is don't worry about that at this point. Just get going. Your computer probably has a microphone. If at all possible, get any other microphone than the built-in one. It will just sound better. If you have headset, cool, use that. If you've got a cheap microphone you bought sometime, use that. At this point, I don't want to discourage you from doing something and trying because you don't have the gear. It doesn't take a lot to do this. You just need to get started. Another friend of Techsmith, his name is Brian Fanzo, great stuff out there. He has a saying that I love. He says, just push the damn button. And a little tongue-in-cheek here, right? But just record something. And here's what I tell everybody. This is true whether you're an educator, you're a business professional, you're a speaker, whatever you might be doing. Not only just start doing it, but make your first thing. And if it's not very good or you're not happy with it, that's okay. I recently went out and found the real first video I ever made for Techsmith was my application. When I interviewed, and I've been at Techsmith for about 14 years now. And I found my interview video, the video that they asked me to make for part of my job application. And I started looking at it. I could watch about 30 seconds of it before I had to turn it off because I was like, I'm not sure I'm not sure what they saw that made them think that I could do the job. So, but that's the thing. The first video, it's not going to be your best video. And that's okay. What we really want to encourage you to do is just start trying to do something. And so there's lots of ways you can get going. If you have a mobile phone, you can make a video. If you have access to a screen recording technology, whether that's Snagit or something else, Camtasia, you built in one on your desktop, that's okay. We want you to get started. Now, are there benefits in having other tools and things that can do more? Yes. Absolutely there are. But what I'd say to you is don't worry about that just to get started. Again, I'll emphasize if you're being affected by, transitioning to remote work, or you're being affected by everything that's going on in your school because schools are closing, we do have an offer right now from Techsmith to get Snagit and video review for free through the end of June. And it's an extended trial basically, but all it's full functionality, and we just want to help. So just go to techsmith.com. If you just search, I tried it, just search for like COVID, you'll find the offer and you can read the information about who qualifies and what it is. And video reviews, we'll talk about that another time, but it's super cool. Basically upload your video and have conversations around the video. Super helpful. So a couple, Pedro, content in Spanish, totally get it, totally understand. We're not covering all the languages yet. A couple other pieces of information here. Pedro asks, do you need a teleprompter all the time when you're starting to record? Depends. So there are definitely videos I've used teleprompters for, but for most of us, especially in the circumstances working from home, I'd say no. A couple things, if you're making a quick one-off video, you can have a script for sure. I like scripts. Scripts are really good, but maybe just have an outline. And just know what you're going to say and then just say it. You know, you say a couple extra things, you flub a little bit. It's not the end of the world. That's real. Just like I'm trying to be very real right now. I'm not scripted. I'm not trying to go through a very prescribed thing. Now, obviously, you want to make sure you're not going off on tangents, but definitely have an outline. Scripts are helpful. If you're going to do something that's more polished, I would record my audio first. I'd record my audio and then build my video around that. We can talk about how to do that some other time, but that's my preferred workflow. But I don't think you need a teleprompter. In fact, for most of us and most of the videos, I think, unless it needs to be polished, I would say just be you. Unless you're really not an expert and you don't really know what you're supposed to say, then write it out. But there's things that you can do instead of getting a teleprompter. There are apps out there that you can get for tablets or phones. I'm sure you can even run some on a computer. The other thing I'll say though is that I'm not good at multitasking. I'm not good at reading what's going down the screen and also doing an action to record, like with my mouse. It would be a lot of like kind of going back and forth, and that doesn't make for a good experience. So probably not use. I would recommend maybe stay away from the teleprompter unless you're going to go polished. But there's lots of options out there. There might even be some free options. I haven't looked in a while. All right. So we got another comment here. Thank you, Kentuckiana District USPS. Worked great for many digital projects. I've been using Techsmith products for the U.S. Army and the U.S. Postal Service for about 20 years. Thank you so much. I mean, we really appreciate everyone who has been a customer for so long, and even our new customers. Techsmith is an older company now that we're 30 years young, but we're so happy to just be able to support people and hopefully make their lives a little bit easier to make visual communication possible and sharing what they need. Yeah. So hi, Jesse, welcome back into the chat. Elisa Card, thank you for using it. So happy about that. So Pedro, another good question. How do you eliminate the glare from lights when you're recording? So I have the benefit of that. I can't see far, but I can see close pretty well still. So, I put them on. What do you do? Whoa, those are dirty. Since I've been working from home, I haven't even worn my glasses. What do you do about glare? It's all about positioning your lights. Like the good thing is when I put these on, there's not a lot of glare, but it's because my lights are angled up and out here. They're kind of coming down like this rather than straight on. It's just, you got to play with it. Put maybe the lights a little bit higher. I mean, don't go from low because that looks kind of a menacing look, but the lights coming down like this are pretty good. If you're using lights, if you have other reasons for glare, like just out in the sun or whatever, you just got to play with it. I got to worry about shadows here. You just really do the best you can. What I would recommend, actually, I think we talk about this at Techsmith Academy. So if you're not familiar with Academy, it's a free resource, academy.techsmith.com. You can go there, you can log in, and we've got courses on lighting, we've got courses on script writing, storyboarding, creating your first instructional video, all free. You'll hear a lot more from me in those courses, and we're looking at adding more and more content all the time. But we do have a course on lighting, and there's a PDF guide you can download that will talk about like positioning. And I'm pretty sure we talked about glasses in the video. So it's been a while since I looked at that one, but I'd go definitely check it out because that should hopefully help you. Amy asks, will we be doing more videos like this going forward? Amy, absolutely. And here's the thing that I want to know from you guys is what is it that we can talk about next time? Like, I'm gonna be just straightforward with y'all. I think it was Thursday, we got together, maybe it was Wednesday night. We're like, hey, do you know what? We should do something more. We want to be helpful because a lot of people need help. Like you, Amy, they're just beginning and they're thrown into this. And we said we should go. It's been a while since we've gone live. Let's do that. So absolutely, we're going to be doing this. Kind of these more bigger concepts, not maybe digging as deep into the product stuff, but how to get you going. Maybe we'll do some stuff on lighting. Maybe we'll do some stuff on storyboard scripting. I've got a whole list of topics potentially we could talk about, but if there's something you want to know and talk about with me, let me know. I would love to do that. We are also, for those that are interested, right after this, there's a Zoom link. And Jesse, if you happen to be in the chat still, if you post a Zoom link at 12 o'clock, my good friend and colleague Jason Vlad is going to have an open office hour. It's 1 hour. It's a Zoom link, so you need to jump in on Zoom. But basically what he's going to do is go answer questions about Camtasia specifically. So if you're stuck on learning how to do something, you want to see how something works, Jason will do that. And then we're looking ahead, probably next week we'll do this again, whether once or twice a week, we're not sure. We'll also do office hours for Snagit and Camtasia because we want to be helpful. We've got normal webinars that we schedule, but during these kind of unprecedented times, we know people are trying to figure this stuff out even maybe more rapidly than they were before. And we really want to help out and make sure that you can do that. And those won't, like the Snagit office hours won't be about video, will be all things Snagit. Camtasia will be all things Camtasia. Whereas this one, we're going to use it to keep talking about kind of like, hey, what are the ideas for how I can do this stuff? And we'll adjust as we go. We're trying it out. We wanted to make sure that this would even work from home because, basements, right? Couple other questions. Yeah, thank you, Bledsoe Zone, for that shout out about the Academy. That's awesome. Yep, go check it out. It's all free. Again, I just talked to a couple people who we're looking to work with to add courses for. I'm super excited about. It should be really good. Let's see what else we got here. Capture screen stuff. Just looking for questions. So, Jake Camille 1 asked, sorry, what is Zoom? I have Camtasia Snagit, but not Zoom. Zoom is not us. It is not our product. It is a remote conferencing tool, basically. And it's been gotten a lot of popularity. So think about like a GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, WebEx, but it's less webinar and more like I'm going to call you Skype kind of thing. So we're using that for the office hours because it allows people to not just listen to Jason talk, but they can ask questions. And I'm not sure how he's exactly going to set it up. But you can definitely chat in there there's some chat feature, and then it's a little bit more intimate than YouTube. So it's kind of less about the recording, and much more about having it available, during that hour period that we're doing it. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so I know we've got some probably people who have just joined in. I'm going to recap again a little bit on what I mentioned earlier, and appreciate all the questions. Happy to keep answering questions. But first thing we talked about earlier was, what is a screen recording? If you don't know about screen recording, it's the idea that you can, from your computer, capture anything on your screen, and you can do that as a video, right? So you can show the mouse cursor, you can show anything that's happening, any actions on screen, and it's not live. You don't have to broadcast it. It's just you're going to make a video of what's going on your screen. It's super helpful, and you can use that for lots of different purposes. Some other ideas for video, if you're just trying to figure out where am I going to use video in my workflow. Anything you need to teach, you want to show someone how to log into a system. You want to show somebody how to do anything on their computer. Screen recording is great for that. But if you don't, it's not a computer thing. You've got a phone, probably, right? And you can use that to actually create video content to show somebody how to do something. And I'm sure there's lots of questions as we all move remote, right? Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I can't connect to the network at work. How do I do it? Video is great because you can see it and you can get the directions on how to walk through it. I love written documentation, like I said before, but sometimes it's just easier if someone can show me, kind of like they're standing over my shoulder saying, like, do this, do that, do this. Other ideas is make yourself reminders on how to do tasks that you easily forget, or reminders for others. That coworker that used to come over and ask the question every week about how they did something, well, make them a video, because they can't come over and ask you, and you might not be able to connect through other virtual means. Tech support, if you're needing help with tech support, record the problem that you're seeing, send it as a video to your tech support person so that they know exactly what's going on. They can see it happen. There's no like, well, that doesn't happen. No, it happened. You can see it because I recorded it. And if you're on the other side, you're on the front lines doing tech support, you can make a video to show somebody what steps they need to go through in addition to writing it out. I find it sometimes just faster and easier. And then don't forget about just general communication announcements, things like, I want to share some information. It doesn't need to be a meeting. I want to share out like how something's doing. Like, okay, I share out occasionally how performance is for how many people have joined our Techsmith Academy. I can make a video about that. I don't have to, send an email, boring email. I can be like, hey, everybody, here's how it's going. Look, they get the connection with me without the time commitment of a specific time or location. It's a great way to prep for meetings too. Like, we're going to have a meeting, but we're going to cut it down to 30 minutes. But before we go into the meeting, could you watch this 10-minute video or 5-minute video and let me talk about these things? So that way in the meeting, we're doing things that are really what meetings are for. I'm not going to share the information with you then. We're going to make a decision, or we're going to discuss options, or whatever it is that, you would want to do in that meeting, versus just like, okay, let me go through my PowerPoint slides. Click, click. Here's more information, click, which you might lose people. So, and if you're an educator, send out videos to your students, right? Or if you're an administrator, to your staff. Don't point your camera at your computer screen to record something. Just use a screen recorder, or let's see you. Turn on your webcam. We love that. So, checking in with just questions here. Can you change cameras? Pedro, another great question. Can you change cameras when you're screen capturing? I happen to have two in different angles. That's a really good question. It depends on probably what tool you're capturing with. But from a screen recorder, Camtasia perspective, Snagit perspective, I don't think you can. I've not tried it, for what it's worth. If it's a separate device, it can capture on its own. So for instance, I have done this before. I've set up my phone as a camera and I've captured a separate angle. You could bring that in and and Camtasia at least match them up. But here's what I would say for most people, that's probably overkill at this point. But Pedro, I don't think you can. You'd have to record it separately and kind of mix and match. I get the appeal. That's very professional looking, but probably not something you're going to be able to do like with a webcam per se. If it's a normal like phone or DSLR camera or something like that, you can just bring them in as separate tracks into Camtasia, not in Snagit, and then do your mixing that way. But interesting question for sure. Delay in life. You ask, is Snagit a user-friendly screen recorder and video editor? It's going to be my first Excel tutorial that I want to post in YouTube. Will Snagit help me fulfill this plan? So it is. I think it's easy. Now, I realize, I work in the tech industry. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a developer. My background's creating training, but I'd say I'm moderately tech savvy. And I'd say I think it's pretty easy. I think the good news is with Snagit, we have a lot of free tutorials. If you go to techsmith.com, go to the resources, I believe it is, or I think it's maybe support, and you should see that we have a tutorial section that will walk you through all the basics of using the screen recording option. What I would do, I suggest there is a free trial you can download. If you're being affected by everything that's going on and you've kind of transitioned to remote work, go look for we have a free offer. It's Snagit through the end of June that you can use fully functioning trial. Go try that out. Download it and just give it a go. Try making, before you make your tutorial, make something that's gonna, you can throw it away. It doesn't matter. Kind of practice, if you will. I will say the one thing about Snagit, it's not really a video editor. It has some lightweight video editing functionality, which I can sort of show you. Let me just switch back to my screen here. So here's the interface for Snagit. Again, apologize for the size, but the biggest thing here is, let's say you find a spot, you're like, oh, I don't like what I did there. Like this first part, oh, I didn't select the right thing. I'm going to select this tab. I'm going to drag it out to the point where I want to cut, and then I can just cut out, right? And it could be from any place in the video. And one of the things you'll see as I do that, it leaves these yellow lines to indicate that there's been a change. But that's about the extent of the video editing in Snagit. I could turn this into, I can turn it into animated GIF, keep them short. It's already an MP4 file. And if you don't know what an MP4 file is, that is a very standard video file format that will go pretty much anywhere videos are accepted. Definitely goes to YouTube. In fact, I think we even have a YouTube output. It's kind of off the edge of my screen there, but you can set it up so you could go directly to YouTube to post that video. So I think it's pretty easy. It's really about starting your recording, or, select the right area to record first. And I just recommend full screen, make your Excel or whatever you're recording full screen, record full screen, and then record that. And then, clean up the beginnings, ends if you need a little bit. If you got someplace you're really flubbed, you could do that. But you're not going to be able to do any other enhancements. And that's a great thing about starting with Snagit or something like it, is that it's going to be straightforward on the video side. Now, when you're ready and you want to make it a little bit more polished, more professional, you want to add some stuff to it, you can go to Camtasia, and Snagit actually has a Camtasia output, or you can just save the MP4 file to your hard drive and bring it in. Camtasia's got more video editing options. It's also, I think, fairly easy. There's just a lot more options, which makes it a little bit more overwhelming to get your head around. But I've seen some pretty cool stuff people can do with Camtasia, just, a little bit of effort, learning how to, bring in audio to make it sound a little bit better, clean it up, adding effects, arrows, text, and a little bit of animation as well. So lots you can do. It's a great question. Definitely give Snagit a try to start. And I think you'll find that it's a really a good, easy beginning. The other thing is, I'm a big fan of also documenting, having the documentation, take screenshots. One thing Snagit will do is you can save that PNG button right next to the GIF button. Click it, and wherever your playhead is at, it will just take an image and make an image. So you also want to make handouts, you could do that as well, which I think is nice. Bloodsoe Zone asks, storage and sharing of video files is something that needs to be considered. It is. Videos tend to be big. If you don't have a lot of storage on your hard drive, you're going to want to think about where you can put these. You're also going to want to think about how you're going to share it. You probably don't want to upload a video to your email. It's just your email servers probably will struggle. Videos tend to be large, but there are a lot of options out there. Oh gosh, I don't have. Maybe I do. I'll worry about it another time. But I do. At some point, I can share. If you find me on Twitter or on LinkedIn, I can share. I just created something that talks about 9 different locations you can put your video. Obviously, you can put them on YouTube. If you don't mind the kind of the openness of that, there's Twitter, there's Facebook. You can, if that's where your audience is, but there's lots of other hosting options. Screencast.com. You can, there's Vimeo. There's not really a ton. There's some of them have free options that you can look into. I would definitely do that. It's going to be limited though, based on the size and how much it's viewed. But something you're going to want to consider long-term. YouTube, if you're not opposed to YouTube, there are reasons if you're a business, you might not want to do that, but you can definitely do YouTube and make things unlisted and just share it with like your class or your company that way, if that's okay. Check with your policies. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but there are lots of options to consider. But file size is something to consider. I think next question here. We're getting close to our end of our time. A couple more minutes, so keep asking questions. If you want to send your recordings, does the other person have to have Snagit or Camtasia? No, they do not have to have Camtasia or Snagit. What you're going to do is called render or produce. Now, I mentioned with Snagit, you just save the file and it's MP4 and you can send it to them. Probably put it someplace. Again, don't do an email. And they should be able to just watch the video. It just works. Camtasia, it's a couple more steps. You have to go through what's called a render process to get it from its Camtasia format into a viewable format, which again is MP4. So definitely want to go through those steps, but you don't have to. Your viewers don't have to have the product, right? That's not how this works. It only works that way if you're giving them the raw, kind of unedited thing, particularly with Camtasia, right? There's ways to do that. We don't need to get into details, but you can definitely share those things. Just once you produce them, save them out, put them someplace where they can go view it, or they can access it. I mean, you can do Dropbox, you could do any of those kind of file sharing. If you have like OneDrive for Microsoft, you have on SharePoint. There's lots of ways companies have given us to share video. Again, don't put it in your email. Probably won't be so happy with that. So cool. So I hope this gives everybody a few ideas on types of videos they can make just to get going. I mean, we don't have to get into rocket science to do this. Again, I just want to let everybody know. Looks like I got a little buffering issues, but hopefully it'll keep things hold on here just a little longer. I want everyone to know, just start. Please, just make your first thing. Do it. Just do a test run. Like, make something for a coworker that you needed to tell them anyway that has very low stakes. And once you've done that, awesome. Because then you could say like, hey, I did that. That wasn't so bad. You can ask them, did they like it? Did they not like it? And they will appreciate that, right? And if they don't like it, you can find out, well, what didn't you like about it? And so again, just get started. Just try making something. We're not looking for masterpieces. We're not looking for Steven Spielberg, gems that are going to win Oscars or any kind of awards. We're looking to convey information to our audience that's going to be helpful and useful to them. And if we do that, it's a win. There's going to be stuff you got to figure out along the way, where you want to put it, how you want to get it to them, things like that. But we can talk more about that another time, because if you guys like this, we'll do it again. We'll keep coming back. It's been a goal of mine to do more live kind of events, and this was really kind of thrown together last minute. So we'll even structure it a little bit more, think about how we can make this a better experience for everybody. So again, kind of final questions here. Delight in life. Do you have a free trial for Camtasia until June 2020 like Snagit? At this point, we do not. It's not, we're really focused on trying to help people go that quick and easy for now, but we do have normally a 30-day trial on Camtasia. So you can definitely go get it. It's fully functioning. The only thing limited in the Camtasia trial is that when you produce, you get a watermark, and that's you'll get to see what it looks like, the quality, but there's a watermark on it. So definitely go try it out. There's definitely a 30-day option for Camtasia. If you're affected by things that are going on, you find yourself in a newly remote work situation like I am, go check out, again, techsmith.com. You can search for COVID or remote workers. Go to our blog. There's a resource guide there as well. You can see the option, the offer is there as well, plus tons of other resources on techsmith.com/blog. The other thing I'll just kind of mention, last thing is, if you find me on social, you'll see that I'm sharing out basically it's a resource collection, looking at all the companies and people that are putting out really great information that's either free or discounted. I don't have the link right here right now, but basically you want to check that out, because there's so many people that are doing so much good right now, offering options, and we've got stuff from multiple different software companies offering options to help people who are really affected. To some of them are more limited to like nonprofits or healthcare people, but some of them are just resources about stopping like how to stop the spread of what's going on. So go check that out. I don't have a link with me right now, but you find me on Twitter at PierceMR. Techsmith is sharing it out as well. You can also, if you have a great resource to add, you can add it there. So last questions, looks like a couple more came in from Pedro. Why not send your video via email? Because your email provider will hate you and it might not even let it go through. Emails typically have caps on this file size. So unless you've really compressed your video and made it pretty small, it's going to be hard to share. And it just doesn't feel like a great medium to share video. I would link to someplace else, like, link to the YouTube, link to the screencast.com site, link to Vimeo, or wherever you're hosting your video. It will work better, and there'll be better options than just sending the raw file through. Just a better experience to watch it. And Pedro said that I did that and didn't work with one of my students. I'm assuming you're talking about sending it through email. Yeah, it doesn't work. That's the biggest thing. So thanks, Jesse, for posting my handle on Twitter. We'll, follow me there if you want, but follow Techsmith. We got lots of great information out there. We're trying to get out to you guys. Again, a lot of offers, and we're going to be doing this more. Like, I want to talk more with you guys about what it is that you want to learn about video. Don't forget to check out the Techsmith Academy. Don't forget to look, again, at the blog for Techsmith. So many great resources that are just there to learn. If you're getting started, we know this is overwhelming to get started making videos and start making information sharing visual. But you can do this. We know you can do this. We have absolute every faith in you. That you guys are awesome out there and are going to make great stuff. So feel free to connect, and we'll watch for more announcements, and we'll do this again. We appreciate everybody. I'm going to just end it with the pre-roll that we started with because there's a couple announcements on there. You guys can get the bit.ly to go join Jason Vlad for his doing office hours on Camtasia. You can see the information about getting the offer that I talked about for Snagit, as well as some other stuff. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and we will talk to you again soon.